it really was moving and compelling because I think not just an ordinary midterm election. Tell us what you really mean when you say democracy is at stake.
Well, Reverend Al, you know this as well as I do. You think about this new Republican Party. This is not your father's Republican Party. These are the MAGA Republicans, the Trump Republicans. And number one, they think the only election that is one that is legitimate is one they won. If they didn't win, there must have been fraud. And so they won't accept, you have 320 so election deniers on the Republican ticket running for those offices that control the electoral process in the states and local offices as well as federal. And they made no bones about it. And these guys, how in God's name can you call yourself a supporter of the Constitution when you say you only win when you win? If there's any dispute, then it must be that there was cheating. And number two, all these guys who stormed and women who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, they refer to them as heroes. Some of them say they want to see them pardoned. I just think it's just completely contrary to anything I've seen and you have seen in our lifetime in terms of a national position to take.
One of the things that I have argued, and you know, you and I've known each other for decades, and I've come on the national scene from a civil rights point of view, usually challenging the system. And one of the things that I've heard that I don't think gets enough notice, you had said that the night you won, you said particularly to black voters that you had my back, I'll have your back. And I'm not one that defends presidents, but I mean, when you look at the economy, the executive orders that you signed advancing diversity and equity, the series of executive actions with the minimum wage, the executive order on George Floyd when we couldn't get that through the Congress or through the Senate, and at the same time stressing we've got to deal with crime. I mean, I think that you have shown, even when it was difficult, that you were having our back. And I don't say that with any hesitation. I think what is amazing to me is that people bring up we didn't get the John Lewis bill through, and I was disappointed as you were. But all 50 Republicans voted against the bill. We couldn't get 2 to go with us with the filibuster. But the entire Republican Party in the Senate went against the bill. You can't be blamed for that. Talk about what you've tried to do, because I've been in the meetings with you. I've been on the phone with you. Talk about what you've tried to do to keep your promise of having black America's back as people are preparing to go to the polls that haven't voted early in black America.
Well, first of all, the black community has had my back. That's why I got involved in politics. You know, Al, you're one of the few people know that we're the largest black population in America here in the state of Delaware as a percent of population. It's been the source of my strength, and it's what got me involved in politics in the first place. I made a number of promises. Number one, I said, I'm going to put the first black woman on the Supreme Court, on the court. We did it. And we did it in a way that, with the great help of Ketanji Brown Jackson, we did it in the great help with the senator from Illinois, Dick Durbin. We found ourselves in a situation where I said I want the bench to look more like the country. Al, I've appointed more appellate court justices on the federal court system than every other president combined, and they're black women. I said that I was going to forgive some student debt. I was going to help HBCUs. HBCUs have as many qualified students as any other institution, but what the problem, they don't have endowments. So they don't have the laboratories. They don't have the places where the jobs of the future are going to be from the high-tech jobs. Well, guess what? We got them $5 billion, and we're not stopping now. And, the idea is that in terms of the crime, every Republican voted against my rescue plan, which gave billions of dollars directly to cities and states with the flexibility to use it toward community programs directed toward crime prevention. They're the reason why they kept good cops on the beat. And the other thing I did, I made sure that although I couldn't get the the legislation passed, the George Floyd legislation passed. I'm coming back at it, but I just initiated by executive order at the federal level. No chokeholds, no knock warrants. I was able to do it at a federal level. And look, the other thing is, Al, you know, we've talked about this, and every black listener understands this, that black crime is one that, in fact, are the victims of the crime.
Yes.
They're in their communities, and they want help. We have to retrain the way we train police. We have to train police to be able, and we need more social workers. We need more psychologists. We need more people with mental health backgrounds on police forces, so that we don't just have the guy come in we don't, for example, we don't have up-armored Humvees rolling in the neighborhoods anymore, and that's not going to happen on my watch. And so, in addition to that, what we've done is we provided, black employment is way up. We provided loans for small businesses and housing for young blacks who are just starting, who need the down payment. I provided the student loan benefits. Commit $20,000 to student loan forgiveness if, in fact, you went to a school with not just the $10,000 but another $10,000 if you had a Pell Grant. What I've done with regard to dealing with not just the courts but also with the notion of what we're going to do to provide for opportunities for black Americans. I said that I was going to make sure my administration looked like America. We have more African Americans in high positions, both on the cabinet, in the cabinet, as well as throughout my administration. And I'm still working on doing even more. The bottom line is everything we've done has been designed to help the community and other communities like the black community, Hispanic communities in a similar situation. And it's about time that we gave the kind of help we need. And every single thing that I proposed, with virtually one or two exceptions, the Republican Party has been against it. And guess what? Their whole proposal, if they win, take back the House and the Senate, is to do away with all the things that I've said. Not a joke. Do away with all the things that I've said. They don't want student debt going through. They don't forgiveness. They don't want to see what we're doing with black HBCUs. They don't want to like the fact that I was able to cut the cost of prescriptions for starting the first of the year. Any senior that is will never have to pay more than $2,000 a year if they're on Medicare for all their drugs, either they're $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 a year. I've delisted I've seen to it that anyone that's in jail for mere possession of marijuana has that wiped off their record. And if they're out of jail, first of all, they're no longer in jail, and two, if they're out of jail, the record gets wiped clean because they don't have a shot. And everybody, for example, getting out of prison should be able to, once they serve their time, qualify for all the programs from Pell Grants to housing to the whole range of things. We got to give people a chance. Give them a chance. That's all they're looking for is a chance. And that's what I have great confidence in the leadership of the African American community. I really do, Al. I mean, anyway. I'm sorry to get so.
No, but no, you've shown that. Lastly, I think that when we talk about crime, you have more than anyone fought about dealing with gun control. A lot of these crimes, particularly in black communities, are gun related. People don't talk enough about how we have to deal with that. 2 weeks after I did preached the funeral of George Floyd, I did a 1-year-old kid's funeral in Brooklyn he was in a crossfire of a gang fight, and you've tried to deal with guns. And you've done it with other groups. You had, at our request, the hate summit with all of this stuff, anti-Semitism, anti-Asian. We all came together, and you said, no, do it at the White House to all of us, and said, and I'll come, and the vice president came. Nobody's ever convened the leaders of all these different groups and said, we've got to stand together against hate. The ADL, my group, National Action Network, Urban League. So I think all of this is at risk if people don't come out and vote.
Al, look, all those groups are the salvation of this country in terms of hate and crime. I mean it sincerely. You know, you and other civil rights leaders came to the White House. You laid out your cares and concerns and from the AA community, and the door is always open. You know, I said that in the beginning. You knew I meant it. A lot of people didn't know me as well, were surprised. The door of the White House is always open. That on matters and policies that directly benefit the African American community and other minority communities. Look, we just have such opportunities if we just step up. My concern with this election, though, is if we don't win, they're going to wipe out everything we've done. I'll be able to veto some of this stuff, but some of it is just going to wipe out. It's going to go away. And it makes no sense. You know, voting rights, prioritize that issue from day one. Department of Justice has doubled the voting rights staff, has challenging provisions of state restrictions in Georgia, Arizona, Texas. We've launched a task force on the 21st to combat threats against election workers. You know, I want to be clear. America should feel safe going to the polls. Did you ever think Al would see, I guess you may have, because you've seen it in the South and during the Civil Rights Movement, where you have people sitting outside a polling place with an AR-14, 15.
Never saw that. I never saw that.
That's outrageous. It's outrageous.
It is outrageous. It's outrageous.
But,
well, thank you, Mr. President. I know you're headed to New York, and we've got 2 days left, and I thank you for stopping to talk to our listeners around the country, and I'm even going to play some excerpts on my MSNBC show. President of the United States, President Joe Biden. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Thanks a lot. Keep it going, Al.
All right. That was yesterday afternoon, taped for today. I played some on Politics Nation.